670 KBOI, first traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 6s. Your next update is coming up at 7:46 right here on News Talk 670 KBOI. We're joined by Joan Endicott, who is going to be one of the main speakers at Business Builder Day coming up at the Owyhee Plaza. And Joan is president of Endicott Training and Consulting. And I don't know, for years and years, I've heard your name in doing all sorts of things. What's that?
Hopefully in a good way.
Well, yeah, mostly in a good way. I know that you were Mrs. Idaho in 1994.
Right.
What will you be speaking on?
I'm going to be speaking on perspective in life, which everybody right now is kind of tired of the bad news and how things are on the decline and all of that. And honestly, I've never met anybody who said, I've just been too encouraged lately and I can't take anymore. So the good thing is we are going to talk about the good news because we can always choose our perspective. And, you know, we were talking off air about me playing hockey a few years ago. And that's a great example of when I talk about perspective because I was in kind of a crash on the ice at one point.
That does happen with hockey,
yes, it does. Even with women who are trying to be nice to each other, saying, excuse me, and finally the ref goes, quit saying excuse me, this is hockey, even though you're women, this is hockey. But anyway, I was in an accident and really racked my shoulders, and for a few months I was getting shots in my shoulders and having all sorts of things, you know, that weren't going the way I wanted them to go, and finally the doctor said, you need to go get an MRI, and we need to see if we need to have surgery. And as I was on my way, I started having a pity party and a meltdown. I don't know if you've ever had that, but they're really fun for a minute.
2 or 3 times a week, actually.
Yeah. So anyway, I was like so frustrated and just thinking about all the things that had happened, and I couldn't sleep at night, and I couldn't get comfortable, and why did this fun recreational thing happen to where it ended up like this? And then just as I'm turning into the imaging center, there's a man in a wheelchair going down the sidewalk, and he raised his it was his water bottle. He raised his water bottle with the stubs of his wrist. He had no hands. And he raised it up and took a drink, and he put it back down, and then he continued on. And I was like, okay, God, I know you put him there for a reason. And so that's a great example of perspective, because that gentleman would have traded places with me in a heartbeat to be able to do what I was complaining about my hockey shoulders.
The old biblical saying, you know, I cried because I had no shoes, then I met a man with no feet.
Exactly.
It's exactly that same concept.
You know, and I'm probably one of the people who needs to go listen to you speak because every day, my wife keeps a calendar book. I don't. I just let her do it. And every day I say, so what do I have to do today? As opposed to what?
I get to.
Exactly.
And that's our trademark. And actually that came about right after 9/11, which in itself was an amazing perspective getter, because all of a sudden everybody was thinking about what mattered most, which is people in relationships. The only thing we can't replace in life is people in relationships.
True.
And yet we start freaking out about the other mundane things, and the traffic's bad, or I didn't have my coffee, or whatever, and we get, you know, negative about things that don't even really matter in life.
Yeah.
And so
things are going so well for us, we focus on the mundane.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's right. It's kind of the hierarchy. The better things are going, the smaller things take us, you know, the little pebble in our shoe takes us off track. But anyway, in 2001, after 9/11, a friend of mine was in a car accident after leaving my home. And she was so brain damaged that she doesn't know her own kids. She's still alive. She's unable to do anything for herself. And a few weeks after that accident, I was lying in bed thinking about all the things I had to do. I have to get up first, which I'm, you know, don't love that. I have to get up. I have to get my kids up. I have to get them breakfast. I have to get their lunches. I have to get them to school. I have to, all the have-tos. And then I simply pictured Lori lying in her hospital bed in St. Al's. And it was just like this phrase, I get to, came across. I know God did that. He was like, okay, no, you don't have to do any of this. You get to do all of it. Because if Lori had the opportunity to jump out of her bed, do my list, your list, anybody's list, she would have done it so gratefully and with enthusiasm, saying, are you kidding? I get to do all of that. I get to hug on my kids one more time.
There was a baseball movie a few years ago called The Rookie, and there's a place in there where they're struggling in the minor leagues and thinking, oh, wow, is this the thing for me? I'm not doing too well. And the one guy says, guess what we get to do today? And he says, what? He said, we get to play baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we get paid for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We get to do what we've wanted to do our whole life. Yeah. And yet, if we don't keep that perspective, it's easy for us to just kind of get into a rut of negative thinking. So it's a matter of choosing what perspective we're going to embrace. And that's a daily, moment-by-moment commitment. I heard that a red is a grave with the ends kicked out. So I thought,
boy.
yeah, we don't want to be in that.
No, we don't.
At least you can climb out of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the Idaho Business League is sponsoring Business Builder Day. It's Wednesday, May 19th at the Owyhee Plaza. More than 18 hours of free seminars, workshops, and keynote speakers, including Joan Endicott. Get details at 670kboi.com if you need more. And the key word is Business Day. Just type that in and you'll find out everything.
Yes. Hope to see everybody there. It'll be great. It's a great opportunity for people to have things that they would normally pay thousands of dollars for to come and be encouraged and be trained and be re-energized to what they get to do each day.
They get to come listen to you.
All right. Joan Endicott from Endicott Training and Consulting. KBOI News Time. Thanks for joining us. KBOI News Time is 7:43.
Sean Hannity, weekdays at 1 after Rush.
By the way, all a day's work for a socialist.
Don't miss Sean Hannity, weekdays at 1 on News Talk 670 KBOI.
Hi, Gary here.